It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight where Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Hour number 2 of the Early Line on a Thursday morning. The fun has only begun. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri, keeping you in the know and everything you need to know for tonight, tomorrow, what happened last night, and what's going to take place in the future, which in our future tonight is an NFL game down in Houston between the Buffalo Bills and the Houston Texans. A big weekend in college football. Maybe not some of the marquee games that we anticipate and really look forward to, but we are having elimination games. And when we take a look at the polls next week, they're changing each and every week. So something certainly to keep an eye on. The NBA slate tonight, college basketball, sure, we have you covered. But also, it's our goal to make sure we keep the energy high. So when you're on your way to work checking us out, you're going to be excited by the time you get there with, all the knowledge we just learned.
Donnie, I got to tell you, I am so looking forward to the next week. The end of, November heading into December is truly so much fun here. And it's put up or shut up time, Donnie, college football. And let's face it, I can't believe we have elimination games for postseason talk in the NFL in week 12. But that feels like where we're at right now.
It does feel like where we're at right now, and also feels like, will Lamar Jackson ever get back to being the Lamar Jackson we love, which means he runs for 70, 80, 90 yards in a game, and you can't tackle the guy. Well, apparently you can tackle the guy and keep injuring him, particularly his legs here, whether it is a hamstring injury or a knee. Now an ankle showing up. Lamar Jackson didn't practice yesterday. And the thing that you can never get a gauge on is from the Baltimore Ravens if injuries are true or not, or resting, or how serious they are. I guess we'll just find out come Sunday to see if Lamar Jackson is ready. Now, he probably can be 25% Lamar Jackson and come away with a victory this weekend against the Jets, though.
Well, they did it last week with him, too, so maybe this is just the new routine, right? They held him out of practice last Wednesday, but he will likely be practicing here today. To me, Bateman also an issue, but Kyle Hamilton also dealing with all sorts of issues here. They got to keep an eye on that. Roquan Smith still a little banged up. Now, none of this may matter against the Jets this week, but it's absolutely worth keeping an eye on moving forward, Donnie, because Baltimore has no more room for error. Let's face it. At this point on, it's got to be as if it's a playoff game.
Keep an eye on the Atlanta Falcons because you're keeping an eye on a quarterback that won't probably be available to well into the season next year after multiple knee surgeries. Another ACL for Michael Penix. The only question is who's actually going to be coaching Michael Penix next year. What a disaster season, seeming to get worse by the day for the Atlanta Falcons as Penix is down with at least 9 months of recovery, if it's even that short.
Oh, I mean, come on. What's it? It's fine. I mean, you got $180 million backup quarterback. I mean, it's all good. No, 5 season-ending injuries in 8 seasons going back to his college days. This was always the fear with Penix. As good as he could be or can be, those knees and his injuries have been a problem his entire career.
And you just have to play as well. Like, he's still a young quarterback, missing all of this time. You're not going to have a true off season to work out. You're just going to get thrown into the mix late in training camp to see how the knee is at this point. Just not a great thing to have your franchise guy go down. Look, it's one thing when he goes down in the beginning parts of September. Okay, maybe he's ready for training camp next year. You go down in the month of November, you're basically wiping out 2026 as well. That's what makes it tough. Shedeur Sanders, he's going to play in 2025. He is going to get his start this weekend against the Raiders. And I remember talking to you, Joe, before the season even started. We expect, like, how many games is we knew Shedeur was going to play at some time, whether it's concussion or not for Dillon Gabriel. We knew Dillon Gabriel was going to get in there and play football for the Cleveland Browns. But this week, it's time to shine. And if you are picking one game that you want to make your debut as a starter in the NFL, probably against the Raiders defense. But how effective can you possibly be? They're the underdogs. Talking about the Browns this weekend, Joe.
Yeah, hilarious. And because I am sure the Raiders defense is just shaking right now, knowing that they've got to go up against Shedeur Sanders and an offensive line that can't block anybody or anything for that matter. Yeah, you talked about it earlier, Donnie. It's worth mentioning again when we get a chance. His prop numbers tell you everything you need to know about the expectations of Shedeur, even against the Raiders in this game, Donnie.
Well, the future of the NFL, and I understand more eyeballs on the game, more good for them, more money that you can make. But don't you remember a couple years back, they were selling territories to NFL teams like, okay, you get Brazil, you get Paris, you get France, you get Germany at this point. Like, the Saints are going to play a game over in Paris. And the thing I always get a kick out of this is, like, the Saints pretty much sell every game out in the Dome. And you want to have games at home because it's better for your home field advantage and easier to win a football game. I never faulted the Jacksonville Jaguars for years going, you know what, we'll play every single game overseas if you want us to, because nobody comes to our games and you guarantee me to sell it's more money, we'll do that here. But now when you take a look at teams just go, hey, we'll play a game in Paris next year, we'll go to Brazil. I can't stand this. And what does it eventually go to, Joe? A minimum of 2 games per each football team outside of the United States? I don't get what the NFL is doing, man. You make your money and your bread and butter in the United States. Keep some of these games home. You want to have 1 or 2 expansion games overseas where it's 2 bad football teams going in there? Have at it. I just don't like to see that we're playing so many football games overseas now.
Well, and that's the big question, right? Because every time they go over there, Donnie, one of the teams playing there that fan base loses a home game. So I'm guessing it would be New Orleans. Yeah, I don't know who they're playing or who else you're sending over there, but it looks like New Orleans fans will be without at least 1 home game on the schedule, which stinks on so many different levels. But hey, want to keep growing the game internationally, Berlin, London, here we go. This is what it's all about. Keep racking up the money because that's what the NFL is, $1 billion enterprise.
Racking up the funds there. You can do it in many different ways. In the NFL, they use Netflix a lot too and say, okay, you want to go on Peacock for a game? You want to use NFL Network for a game? You want broadcast television for a game? You want Amazon Prime? You get the point. Well, Major League Baseball is going to do the same thing. When we talk about growing the game, you can't sort of, cut off your nose to spite your face. And what I'm saying is, the growth of the game is for everybody, even as a kid, to be able to watch these games. And back in the day, we always talk about boxing in the 70s and 80s. It was king. Why? Because the biggest fights were in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday that just about everybody could watch. Hey, did you watch that Hagler fight? Yeah, I did, because I turned on 3, 6, or 10 and was able to watch that. But now that's not the case. In Major League Baseball, going to, hey, you know what? More streaming services, the better. How'd that work out for MLS behind Apple Pay, where it's like, we can't even, or Apple TV, we can't even get anybody to watch these games, and somehow we're going to charge for it. I can't stand this. If I buy an MLB package, I should be able to watch every game. Can you imagine this, Joe? Hey, buy the Sunday ticket. Oh, it's on Sunday afternoon. Yeah, but 3 of those games are on Netflix. This doesn't make any sense. The package should have every single game, and it doesn't, because you're trying to go to other outlets here. I hate this. I really do.
And, Donnie, we're coming off a season in which the Game 7 between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays combined North American audience, almost 40 million views.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about record-breaking eyeballs on a sport that everyone said was boring and nobody watches anymore. And yet now you're going to make it harder for those people that actually came back to baseball. You're going to make it harder and more expensive for them to watch their favorite teams. Make it make sense, Donnie.
Like, because I'm not really, like, I have a Facebook account, but half the time I don't log in. And there was some times like, hey, the Phillies are playing on their Facebook game today. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to look for that game. I don't care. This is ridiculous at this point. And even they have the Apple games on too. Like, hey, Friday night, big game against the Dodgers on Apple. Like, I'm not subscribing to that. It's ridiculous that they do it, but we know why. They want the money in the short term and at the long-term expense of, hey, we didn't grow a generation. Yeah, because you had it behind a paywall at this point right now. Cristiano Ronaldo at the White House, hobnobbing around, getting ready for the World Cup, which will be in the United States. Having some dinner on the side, though.
Yeah, it could be the last hurrah, too, for Ronaldo. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes out here. But maybe trying to curry a little something under the table here with President Trump. Maybe work some things out. Hey, can we get the refs? What can we go? Any edge you can get there, Ronaldo. I'm with you, my man.
By the way, I would like to see Ronaldo's bank accounts, man. How much money has he made in his career from brands and also from soccer itself? Impressive here. Roger Federer, impressive during his career. He's a Hall of Famer now. Guy should have been a Hall of Famer in like 1989, it feels like.
Guy should have been a Hall of Famer the minute that he decided to lay down the racket. I don't know what in the world took so long here.
Jets Ravens. What a great crossover coming up next year. Find out who's starting at quarterback for those Jets and maybe why. It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Jets and the Ravens this week. We've been previewing what's actually going to take place for the quarterback position from the Baltimore Ravens because Lamar Jackson missed practice yesterday. The expectations he'll play this weekend, and quite frankly, if he doesn't play, they'll probably still win anyway as 2 touchdown favorites over the New York Jets. But we want answers here. Tyrod Taylor's going to be the starting quarterback, and Aaron Glenn is telling you why.
Did report that you meet quarterbacks? Are you got out of this?
Yeah. Said that on Monday. Talked to both of those guys. Talked to the team on Monday. So Tyrod will be our starter.
Why did you decide to make that move?
Because I wanted to. It was purely my decision. I felt like it was the time to do it. Again, had good conversation with both of those guys. And listen, these situations are not always easy, but as a head coach, you have to do what's best for the team. And I feel like it was best for the team.
He should have said, Joe Ranieri, go ask Rich Cimini, because he obviously has the news before I even deliver the news to my team. But Tyrod Taylor, the move had to be done. But Joe, put Tyrod Taylor at tight end, put Tyrod Taylor at quarterback and put Justin Fields at tight end. That's an extra weapon on the field. Why is nobody listening to me up at Florham Park? Why?
I don't know. I'm shocked that he actually let the cat out of the bag as early as he did.
He did.
It's kind of shocking because now you've given the Ravens and Harbaugh, oh my good, you've given them extra time to prepare for Tyrod Taylor. Got to be kidding me. The strange part about this is when you look at it, though, Donnie, the Ravens are a 2-touchdown favorite at home, and they're 5-5. They're a 500 team laying 2 touchdowns here. This has not happened since 2009, Donnie. You got a mediocre team playing an under 500 team, and they're a 14-point favorite. Make it make sense. My goodness.
It doesn't. This game only goes two ways, like 40-3 Ravens, or Tyrod Taylor's the ball in his hands with 30 seconds to go with a chance to win it outright for the Jets. Like, there is no in-between in this game. It just feels like, and that's the way it should be. Oh, no, as we talk about the quarterbacks, Joe, you take a look at the New York Giants. They fired their head coach because of how they handle their quarterback situation. Too many design runs. You're going to kill my young franchise quarterback. And Mike Kafka's like, hey, kid, you want to play this weekend? We'll play if you want to. It looks like we're setting the stage for Jackson Dart to return back to the football field and take on an angry Detroit Lions team on the road. 10.5-point favorite for the Lions, total around 49.5 to 50.5. Jameis was fine last week. Give the kid an extra week, specifically against playing against Detroit at this point, Joe. Talking about Jackson Dart back under center. Make it make sense.
Yeah, now he's, so there could very well be he is under center this week. I don't get why. But listen, the way the Giants' offensive line got the push against, let's face it, Donnie, that's what is all of a sudden the Green Bay defense? What now? They're not the Detroit deep. Like, you got to be kidding me here. So if they can run the ball and that offense can win in the trenches like they did against the Packers, then don't ask the kid to do a whole heck of a lot and give it a shot there. But if you're going to run 25 designed runs for him, then you're no better than Dable at this point. Your career is probably over.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Big win last week against the Cincinnati Bengals, but it came at a cost. Aaron Rodgers did break his left wrist here. He's saying there's a chance he plays this weekend, and his wrist feels much better than what it felt, but also at the same time, you got to be smart about this because it's about protecting yourself if you fall down. But you know what team that absolutely gets owned by? That's the Chicago Bears getting owned by any team that it seems like Aaron Rodgers plays against. Here's him talking about the Bears.
For you for the opponent this week?
There's incentive for every opponent, but I have enjoyed many a Sunday and Monday and many Thursdays in that city. It's a great sports town, phenomenal sports fans, and great place to play.
Aaron, do you sort of thrive off of being the villain there a little bit? You sort of enjoy that aspect?
I'd rather not be. I mean, I'm not in Green Bay anymore. I feel like we can let bygones be bygones. Maybe I can, I guess. It's a great rivalry. I mean, in the history of all sports, you talk about the Lakers and the Celtics and the Red Sox and the Yankees. You got to talk about the Packers and the Bears. And there's been some great memories there. When I first got to Green Bay, the Bears had the all-time series lead. When I left, the Packers did. Since J. Love has taken over, it's even gotten better. But I hope those fans can put that behind them. I'm sure they can't. Don't expect them to. But I really enjoy the city. They got great sports fans. I grew up watching WGN on my five-channel TV back in the day. So I was a Cubs fan and a Bulls fan. How can you not be a Bulls fan unless you don't like Michael Jordan? I did. I loved him. So it was a lot of fun memories over the years playing there.
There you go. Aaron Rodgers, talking about the past there, always hammering the Chicago Bears. But the question is, will he be hammering them this weekend, Joe? A broken wrist at a quarterback. You might have a broken wrist, let's just say, for a defensive lineman. You put the club on your hand. They say, okay, I'll deal with it. You can't do that as a quarterback. You're going to be falling down left and right, taking hits. I can't see him playing this week. I just can't.
It's so funny watching that interview. I mean, Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh uniform, in a Pittsburgh locker room, going on 5 minutes about the great history and rivalry between the Bears and the Packers and how the Packers have dominated them since him and now it's J-Love have been quarterback. Very interesting there. I guess that's what happens when you're 41 years old here. You start to reflect if you're still playing in the NFL instead of the task at hand, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers better beat the Bears here. Otherwise, you're going to swing that door wide open for the Baltimore Ravens to take over first place here. So this is a big game. Listen, I think if he can go and he's not, and everything that we're hearing is that it was very painful on Sunday, wasn't painful yesterday. If he practices today, he's likely going in the game. So we'll see how it goes. Does he practice today? Well, tell us.
I don't know if he's going to practice. I think they were shooting for like Friday to see if that was what it's going to be. We'll find out though sooner than later. But also, Joe Burrow making practice appearances yesterday, and also steam now hitting the line for the Patriots and the Bengals. It was as high as some outlets, Joe, at 8.5. Now we're seeing even FanDuel dropping to 6.5 on a total of 50.5. People might be buying into Flacco not being the starter this week because Burrow wants to come back.
I don't get it, Donnie. I don't know what that has to do with it. It wasn't like Flacco had a hard time putting up points. Like, okay, all right, time to bet the Patriots.
Wonder if we can find a Kalshi market. Does Joe Burrow return this weekend? Yes or no? We're going to hit those Kalshi markets next, right here on the early line.
Another sport like the NBA, which is dealing with its own, scandal, so to speak, and its own headlines with the FBI and what else comes, because this is the same FBI team that also brought the NBA scandals to light. So I'd have to imagine they're working on some other stuff as well right now, and the timing is definitely not a coincidence, but definitely some very significant news in the gambling world that now you're not going to be able to bet more than $200 on a specific pitch market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Those Kalshi markets we know and love, Joe. Each and every day we set aside a segment to get the people up to date on what is Kalshi and also what sort of wagers you can make. Stock market-like predictions, Joe, which is what we love. And in the NHL, let's take a look at this one. Stanley Cup playoff qualifiers. A couple teams listed in there. The Detroit Red Wings, the New York Rangers, the Toronto Maple Leafs, a 51, 47, and 45% chance each. If you think you're going to go into this and say, you know what, Detroit Red Wings make the playoffs, you drop down $100 there. That pays back $197, Joe. Keeping an eye on the volatility of the stock market. Same thing with Kalshi and some of these hockey clubs.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's a mirage that Detroit's sitting, 12-7 on the year. They already have 25 points. They're at the top of the board here in the Eastern Conference. So why would we think that changes, Donnie? I mean, granted, they're not Colorado, who I think has lost, one game since the start of the season. But, I mean, sitting at 12-7, you got to, at that price, the more games they win, the better that investment is going to look. So, yeah, I don't hate that look at all.
How about these looks, Joe? For the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, AJ Dybansta, all in the lead here. 61%, by the way, for Peterson. So if you put a $100 wager on him, it's $167. Please tell me who this guy is and who he plays for, Joe. I think you told me before, but I'm old. I don't remember.
Well, Donnie, he was the kid that should have played for Kansas, and we hoped had played for Kansas in that game against Duke in the Champions Classic a couple of days ago. But he's got a hamstring injury, and it doesn't look like it's getting better. So, unfortunately for Kansas fans, they're going to have to wait a little while here, and hopefully he gets on the court because make no mistake, Donnie, I mean, the kid he's going to be the number 1 pick. If he can play, if he can't, well, maybe Boozer might be the look because he's going to get plenty of love here in the marketplace sooner rather than later.
Yeah, when I hit more markets there, it sends up to, I'm going to play a game with you, Joe, called Who He Play For, because I have no idea who these two kids play for. Nate Ament and Chris Senak Jr. Who he play for?
Oh, Ahmed, I believe, is Tennessee. Also another kid that can flat out play in this spot here. But you're going to have, listen, Donnie, this freshman class this year, including the kid from Arizona we just watched last night and a couple of, obviously, UConn, this might be, and many people are saying, the greatest freshman class that we have seen in a very long time. And they're spread out to obviously where the money is. It used to be those freshmen would only go to Kentucky and Calipari. It's not that way anymore. They are all over the place. And we've got what could be maybe the NBA draft, usually outside of the top 5 picks. Everyone's like, yeah, what's the difference? Who cares? Maybe not this year. This freshman class may be one of the best of all time.
How about that? See who goes number 1 overall to see how they mix and match those markets here. Let's talk a little soccer action with FIFA. How about this one, Joe? Only $2,000 of volume, though, right now. Will FIFA pull the World Cup out of the USA? Isn't it almost impossible for that to happen? But if you say, I think it does, $100 pays back $2,000 right there. Did the U.S. lose the World Cup? They can't. Look, Ronaldo was in the White House. There's no way. There's no way to lose the World Cup.
And what happened? No, you're not going to lose the World Cup.
They
There's
all
too much
play in
money
Mexico
involved.
and Canada?
So what is $100 that? What's $100 that no happens? Like what do you make? $3 cents? You get $100.
You get 2% return on your investment. Not bad.
I'm good.
So let me see here. What's the max that you can go here? So let's go 100. Let's go $1 million, Joe. You'll make $10,000 back.
Right.
You got $1 million laying around to make $10,000 off of. Come on now. Now we're talking about it. Let's pool our money together. Let's go. We'll go around.
That's right.
Exactly. High risk, high reward at this point right now. Let's check on some other markets, Joe. Like what other market? Let's see if we have a Shedeur Sanders market. Sometimes it's hard for me to spell his name. Let's see if I can get this correct. Shedeur Sanders, I type in, and it says Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't think Offensive Rookie of the Year between Igbuka and also Jackson Dart. So we don't have any Shedeur markets here? Let me see here. That's how you spell his name, Shedeur Sanders.
Really?
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Interesting.
All right, we actually had markets. Will Shedeur start for Cleveland in week number 2? Was a previous market at that point. Will he start in week number 1? Both no's came up. All right. You ready for this one, Joe? You'll like this.
Sure.
Who will visit the White House before January? Shedeur Sanders or Deion Sanders? And by the way, there's almost $350,000 here that we're listing here. Who goes to the White House before January? Father or son, Joe?
Why would either go?
Gotta be Deion. I think Deion would go. Don't you think? Don't you think Deion would go? I think Deion will go.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, if there's cameras, Deion's going. You know it, and I know it.
College football playoff rankings coming up next. You know Deion's going. Put some money on that, on Cal.
Another sport like the NBA, which is dealing with its own, scandals, so to speak, and its own headlines with the FBI and what else comes, because this is the same FBI team that also brought the NBA scandals to light. So I'd have to imagine they're working on some other stuff as well right now, and the timing is definitely not a coincidence, but definitely some very significant news in the gambling world that now you're not going to be able to bet more than $200 on a specific pitch market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
College football coming up this weekend. By the way, if you say coming up this weekend, it's been all week long here. Just maybe not the biggest games on the slate that play midweek, but we have a lot of projections to get to. And each and every week, they give you that stupid TV show that gives you updates that don't actually matter and they can't answer any questions. Like, hey, Miami's got 2 losses and Notre Dame has 2 losses and Miami went head-to-head. Why are they below? They can't answer that. It scrambles their brain. But if we take a look at the college football projected bracket today, it does have Miami in right now as a placeholder against Ole Miss. And by the way, if you just told me we removed Tulane and put another SEC team in there, Joe, I love this bracket right here. This is a great bracket.
Yeah, well, and listen, I mean, the argument that James Madison should be in over Tulane is a legit argument, too. But the good news is we got a couple more weeks here, Donnie, to let it all sort itself out. But I still don't think they're going to be able to get over the whole Notre Dame-Miami argument with the same identical record, only Miami beat Notre Dame, and they could be on the outside looking in. Yeah, that's going to ruffle a few feathers when it's all said and done.
And it should. And again, on this topic where it used to be in the past where, yes, it was if you lost early in the season, you're penalized a lot less than losing late in the season. I understand that. But also you have to understand that, like, Notre Dame lost to 2 good football teams open this year. A&M's good. A&M really hasn't played anybody either. Miami's a good football team. Miami really hasn't played a ton of great football teams either at this point. But when you go back and say the end of the season where head-to-head is the ultimate, like, drawback, like they have both 2 losses, they won. I don't care when they lost. You should get a nod up. But you saw them plotting by keep on moving Notre Dame up to say, well, Notre Dame's like 5 slots ahead. You just can't drop them down. Well, theoretically, that's not the place. Now, things always tend, Joe, to work themselves out down the stretch. Like, yeah, we're expecting Miami to win their final 2 games. Oh, no, they lost to Pitt. Like, that's happened in the past to Miami. And Notre Dame, who knows what happens to them? But I just look at it like that and say to myself, it'll work itself out. If it doesn't, throw out head-to-head, because if two teams have two losses at major Division I schools and one team beat the other team goes, stop the madness at this point. And that means also if Notre Dame have wins over at Alabama and at Georgia and at USC, which, again, they did beat USC, but if you're looking at that, you're saying, well, yeah, these two teams aren't similar. But Notre Dame had two really good games to start the season and cupcakes all the way after that. We'll see what happens. Let's get to some of the games this weekend, Joe, which includes USC and Oregon, as we talked at the top of the show, going over some spread lines here. 9.5, almost a double-digit favorite for Oregon in this game. And I didn't really check yet. Are they getting some help back at wide receiver for Oregon? Because it seems to me, if the money's coming in on Oregon, they must be getting healthier as well.
Well, yeah, they are. I mean, they were missing their three leading pass catchers, but again, Oregon is a place, Donnie, where even the backups are extremely talented there. But as good as those guys are, the best wide receivers on the field are going to be for USC. So this game, whether or not Oregon, not just win it, but if Oregon is going to win it by margin, then that defense of theirs is the one that's going to have to step up, because make no mistake about it, even Iowa and Kurt Ferentz said, you know, those are the best guys I have seen in a very, very long time. They have got guys that can take over a game, and Lincoln Riley's got to win a game on the road at some point, doesn't he, Donnie? Like at some point, with all that talent, he's got to get it done. I tend to think maybe more points than less points in this game. Wouldn't shock me if we get a wild shootout here. Maybe team totals for both teams. Look at the over here.
How about an ACC eliminator here for the championship game, Joe? Pittsburgh and Georgia Tech, with Georgia Tech as a favorite here. Under a field goal now, just about every outlet, but a lot of points are expected at 61.5. The Jackets in the ACC, 6-1. Pitt in the ACC, 5-1, and away they go.
I think Pat Narduzzi shot himself in the foot. That entire situation of having to answer questions and letting everybody know you didn't care about a Notre Dame game and then getting blown out at home. And now what? We're supposed to just turn it on for Georgia Tech. Now, Georgia Tech is not Notre Dame, certainly not defensively. Yeah. But my goodness, this is the kind of spot that Georgia Tech, Brent Key, the head coach, and, of course, it feels like a 30-year-old quarterback now for Georgia Tech, they have been very difficult. And if this game is a one-score game late, Donnie, I am going to trust Haynes King and Georgia Tech to win this game before I'd ever trust Narduzzi to go on the road and win this.
Texas on life support for the college football playoff, but who knows? Maybe all hell could break loose over the next couple of weeks. They knock off A&M and find themselves in the college football playoff, but they are a favorite here. Open up around 9.5. Most outlets here are sitting at 8.5 to 9 as a favorite over Arkansas in a total of 57.5. And Sark answering questions every day about, hey, brother, I think you want to leave, don't you? No, I don't want to leave. So you got that as well.
Yeah, no, you do. But listen, they should have no problem here against Arkansas. Bad defense. They will put up points. Everything will be well. And then, of course, the big moment of truth is going to come in a couple of weeks when they have to take on Texas A&M. So I'm more worried about maybe A&M in a look ahead than I would be Texas here, who should have no problem against that terrible Arkansas defense.
Now, help me out with this. Wasn't Fran Brown one of the hottest coaching commodities in college football just a year ago for Syracuse? Now they're catching 35.5 from Notre Dame on a disastrous season that sees a 35.5 point spread and a 50.5 total. For me, Joe, I think Notre Dame, again, and my angle this weekend is a lot of playoff angles where, yes, the odds maker is going to build into the equation that, okay, here's the statistics and here's what matters. But outside the box, Notre Dame understands they need to run it up because they want more distance from this whole Miami talk and 2 losses here. You can't beat Syracuse by a touchdown. But I'm not going to lay the 35.5, Joe. I'm actually going to take the over 50.5. Notre Dame has a legitimate chance for me to get into the 40s. I just need Syracuse to have 2 scoring drives, and I think we get there. I'm going to take the over in this game, but I do think Notre Dame lays the smackdown on Syracuse. Why? Because they have to.
All right, so let me give you the last 5 games, which happen to be 5 losses for Syracuse. Total points scored: 10, 10, 16, 13, 18. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's
over.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, not good, Syracuse. And I think they have a wide receiver playing quarterback. So this should be first half for me, Donnie. To me, Notre Dame, they'll be up 40-3 at the first half.
Yeah, I remember their coach for Syracuse saying in the offseason, like, hey, what happens when people come pill for your program with players? Well, I don't want those players anyway, and we don't bother with them. Looks like he probably needed some of those football players to compete this year. But let me ask you a question about this, too, down the stretch as we see it. Because in the old BCS era, Joe, like margin of victory mattered. And if you had a game where you were favored by 14 points and you were driving with 30 seconds to go inside the 5, usually good sportsmanship is like, hey, the game is over, take a knee. Not the case. Like, you need to score as many points as you can because those computers would read it and say, whoa, 21-point win as opposed to 14 win. That's extra points here in the market for you to move up or down on a ladder. Talk to me about some of these teams, including like the Miami Hurricanes. Like, you are playing to absolutely surprise the pollsters. Like, wow, they won by that much. Or, ooh, that's not a good look. They only won by a few points. Handicapping late in the season, which teams show that need to impress. How do you handle that?
Yeah, well, the whole thing is that you've got human beings making decisions, and recency bias comes into play, Donnie. So if you're going to have the argument between Notre Dame and Miami, and they have the same record, but one team won by 3 at home on a last-minute field goal, then I got to look here and say, well, look at Notre Dame. They're winning 50-7. They're winning, 45. They're destroying everyone. Yeah, it plays into the psyche, like it or not. So the more points and the bigger blowouts, the better off you are, I think.
Let me ask you a question about this one, Joe, because it's rare we see this. I have a game that's totaled at 59.5 points, Joe. The favorite in this game, minus 54.5. That's Texas A&M over Samford. Now, Texas A&M has Texas on deck after this one. Are you laying the 54.5? Are you saying, like, A&M's going to put up 35 plus in the first half and say, enough. Let's just get ready for next week. We got bigger fish to fry.
Oh, they are absolutely going to have to do that at some particular point. Otherwise, help you. I mean, if somebody gets hurt, I don't know what to tell you.
A&M and Elko on their way. We'll be right back for the Prime Minister, Cam Stewart.
Another sport like the NBA, which is dealing with its own, scandals, so to speak, and its own headlines with the FBI and what else comes, because this is the same FBI team that also brought the NBA scandals to light. So I'd have to imagine they're working on some other stuff as well right now, and the timing is definitely not a coincidence, but definitely some very significant news in the gambling world that now you're not going to be able to bet more than $200 on a specific pitch market.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Where are the wins coming from? And yes, I agree. Are they good enough to win those games? Yeah, of course they are, right? But the reality of this team is not very good this year in one-score games. They're not. That was their bread and butter a year ago. Like every win last year, one-score game, the Chiefs found a way to win it.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let the fun begin, people. We've been waiting for this moment all of our lives. Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri. Cam Stewart, the Prime Minister. We've been waiting our whole life
down,
for
Donnie.
this moment, Cam.
My lady doesn't say that. Like, wait, you guys are the best. Why do I need the Barry Harlow? Oh, thank you, Donnie. Thank you. Anyway, we're here. We're loving it. Let's bet the board. We're going to have fun today. Where do you guys want to start? Because I got golf, I got hockey, we got football.
Bills, baby.
Ooh.
Give me the Bills update, Cam. Bills tonight. Where are we at?
Jim Kelly passed to Andre Reed. Suck it to me, suck it to me, suck it to me. Bruce Smith, leader of the sack. Yeah, let's go. Buffalo Bills from 3.5 to 6. What are we doing here? Donnie, interesting line in this game. And you know the Bills have historically had a little problems with the Texans. We got Davis Mills and the Texans. That defense is good, but their offense anemic, guys. I know a lot of people like the under in this game, but you know what? I'm going to put Buffalo in moneyline parlays, and I don't mind the 5.5 I found on FanDuel. There's a lot of 6s out there. But, guys, I think they can win this game by a touchdown. But the Bills, classic. After a big win against the Bucs, they have a lot of letdown spots, but they got to keep pace with the Patriots, guys. Take care of business, get to the quarterback, and cover the number. I like the Bills tonight, guys, and it's kind of weird how that line has gone from 3.5 to 5.5 or 6. Lots of crazy movement, but I'm going to tell you it's trying to attract Texans money. I'm going to be on Buffalo Bill tonight. Hold my breath that they can get it covered, Donnie. Also, we got some interesting news last night. We know about Keon Coleman in the doghouse right now, right, with Coach McDermott. So Shavers last week had a big breakout game. That prop last night, talking to a Buffalo insider, it's interesting. A guy actually gave me a text message who's like in the Bills organization, and I do a show with a guy that's very tight, and that prop was 19.5. It's up to 24.5, guys. I still like that number. They got to throw the ball to somebody. I know the Texans defense is really good, but Shavers, 24.5 over receiving yards is a prop that I'm going to play. He's over 5-1 for an anytime touchdown as well. I think he can have a game. 25 yards, I think we can get there, but I got 19.5. But that's the thing, guys. Shop early with these props because the minute news comes out, bam, these sharks all over that stuff. You know, Donnie and Joe, especially in the NBA, these numbers can go from 17.5 to 19.5, and your guy has 19, and you lose by the hook sometimes. So you got to be on top of it. I'm on Shavers tonight for the Bills, guys.
Like it.
Ooh. All right. So we've got the final opportunity for PGA Tour players to secure that top 100 in the card, Cam. The RSM Classic underway. Give me some names here we're looking at.
Is it a classic, Joe? I call it the RSM tournament. Keep your job status. 100 cards. Don't want to go to Q school. That's a real problem, man. Q school make you nervous. Wife sitting there. Where's the monies? Well, sorry, honey. I got to be in the top 100. Last week, Vincent the Butler Whaley, Joe, another close shave at third place. But we're going back to the Butler at 40-1. And Brady Cannon, a great golf capper, friend of the program. Joe, you know how to cap golf. Donnie, you know what it's all about. Seaside golf. Winds are going to be down. Watch out for Big Mac Meisner, a guy that plays really well, trending in the right direction. He's been inside the top 20. He's getting close, and I think this is a big tournament for a new guy. So Mac Meisner, 60-1, is a guy that I'm looking at, guys. Joe, I don't know what you like. I know you like to go on your yacht and catch some fish. Sometimes if I don't put sunblock on, I get burned. Are you going with fish burn again, or are you going to lay off the poisson today? You like the fish burn for a top 20? So do I.
do.
Patrick Fishburne, T20. Let's rock, Joe. Let's catch some big ones on your yacht.
Let's get some big ones in the let's get some big ones in the NHL tonight, Cam. Saturday night was the last time my Philadelphia Flyers played. They had rested all week long, and now they're back in Philadelphia to take on the St. Louis Blues. They are a favorite tonight. And by the way, I hear a lot of people in the NHL, the insider, saying Trevor Zegras may be the best player in the NHL, Cam. Can you back that statement up? And also, give me a Flyers win tonight.
I love Trevor Zegras. I'll tell you something, Donnie. He is awesome. And if this guy can become a full-way defensive player, like he's going to be unstoppable. Imagine that Young's Duck team with him on it too. That'd be absolutely lethal. But that's the thing. You have to rebuild and give away good parts. I'm going to tell you this, Donnie. I don't understand. What is it, Thursday? Philadelphia Flyer Day? Every time we do the show on Thursday morning, the Flyers are in action. But I'm going to say this. Please don't hurt me, Donnie. I know people in Philadelphia don't whip batteries at me. I'm going to tell you, I think the St. Louis Blues are a desperate team. I would take them as a small pooch tonight. Leafs, this team barely got by St. Louis in their last game. I'd look at Columbus. Detroit against a red-hot Islanders team laying $1.30. That's something on my list. And Donnie, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm actually on the back-to-back, one of the coldest teams in the National Hockey League, the Edmonton Oilers, who got absolutely schooled by Washington last night. I'll give them one more chance tonight, plus 135 in Tampa Bay. If you guys can't get it together now, heads are going to roll. People, I'm watching the Canadian media. They're talking about the Oilers like they're freaking out. Like it's early in the season, but this team has big problems in net with Stu Skinner. Probably the over in that hockey game as well. Not my favorite card on the ice, guys, but that's those are some things that I'm betting. I like the Blues, Donnie. They're going to be a desperate team tonight in Philadelphia. But you know what? The Flyers have been pretty good to us most of the time.
Yeah.
Cam, I heard a stat yesterday that I could not believe, but apparently 30% of the NHL games so far this season have gone to overtime.
Yep.
Have gone to over. What is going on, Cam? What are we pulling goalies with 5 minutes left? Like, what are we doing?
This league is crazy, Donnie. Like last night, Edmonton plus 2.5, and they leave the goalie out to get a couple empty netters to lose by 3. We don't know what these coaches are doing, but I'm going to tell you the parity is real. The teams in last place can play with anybody. This league is nuts. Wow. It's a dog league. It goes to overtime, 1-goal games. These plus 1.5s in parlay. I know we have empty netters, but guys, so many games going to extra time. You're right, Joe. You look at these dogs and you put parlays together. It's nuts. Like every night, overtime, 1-goal games. Look at the Wild. They beat Carolina 5-4. Anaheim, tight game against Boston. Like this is happening on a nightly basis. This league is hard to cap. It's fun, but a lot of close games. So you got to look at some dogs. And you're right, Joe. The Colorado Avalanche, they don't lose hockey games. Maybe in a money line parlay with Buffalo. They're minus 210 against the Rangers. I don't want to really take them on the puck line, but a plus money line parlay looks good to me. Also, the Utah Mammoth plus 102 against the Vegas Golden Knights. That'll be on my card. You might add another one. The Senators. Donnie, stop. I keep on hitting the buttons. I need help. After last night, you did great. I'm throwing my money into the board tonight. That's what smart gamblers do. They just throw all the money you won, you just put back to the best.
By the way, Cam, let's get a quick recap here on the 112th Grey Cup. Was it a Saskatchewan night in the Cam Stewart household? Did you cover? Did you win?
Yes, we did. And I got to tell you, I got a little bit lucky at the end, too, with a fumble at the 1-yard line. Morency was going nuts, but hey, I got to worry about my finances, too. So Saskatchewan got it done. We talked about A.J. Ouellette, great running back from the Ohio Bobcats. He was absolutely fantastic for Saskatchewan, and we got it done. And the under hit with the late turnover, guys. Great Grey Cup. The season took all year, but who cares? We cashed in the big one.
A.J. Ouellette, by the way, Cam, gave me a like on Twitter a couple of years ago. Big doings here, baby. Yeah. We'll close it next. We'll be back.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier. You got hit behind the line of
scrimmage.
You got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
When I think of the European Tour, these are the players I'm thinking of, right? So I understand why that they would be so frustrated by all this, but they also know that there are rules in place that, from a competitive standpoint, that if you're a member of this tour, like you can't go join a rival tour. Like there's rules in place, just like in any other business.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
The Green Bay area and the Philadelphia area, you would get on ABC normally.
Yes.
But they didn't have ABC, so they couldn't get it locally.
Yeah, it just, you have to ask the question, like, nobody wants to hear from Bob Iger during the Monday night game when 10 million people are blacked out from watching the game, and you not ask him about when the blackout's going to end.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The 35 cents, though, for yes on Ohio State.
Yeah.
I like that, Donnie. I think there's value in that right now because we only got, 3 weeks left to go. Then we'll have conference championships. Yeah, the more they keep winning, and they will win, the more that will increase, and that's a pretty good return on an investment there with Kalshi.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Look at all the fun you can have in 2 hours here. We do it each and every morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Joe Ranieri. We talk the whole show. We give our inputs here. We have guests. We have a lot of fun. But sometimes we need to know where the public is actually coming from on a certain question we ask. Here's our Fave the Public poll. Grip it and rip it, baby. Where do you find us at? Well, just go over to X, go to @SportsGrid here, hit the follow button. You'll find these questions each and every morning. And the question today, simple. What is your best bet tonight in Bills versus Texans on Thursday Night Football? 4 options, the over, the under, the Bills and or the Texans on the spread line. If we look at the favorite right now, most people going with the Buffalo Bills at -5.5 here at a number of 39.8% live, down a little bit from that graphic right there. If we're looking at the total, most people actually backing the under at 43.5, Joe. Sounds like a lot of smart people voting today, getting after it for Thursday Night Football. Where'd you go in this card tonight?
Yeah, I think the Bills win this game. I think, the Bills year after year, very consistent where they start great, Donnie. Then they go through this period where there's a stretch of, 2 to 4 weeks where we're scratching our head going, oh boy, they're in trouble. And then right around this time, Donnie, through the rest of the year, it's like they kick it into another gear. So I think they win this game. I think they also likely cover it. Just simply, I do not trust this Houston offense to score enough to beat. If it's a 1-score game, I'd much rather have a ticket on Josh Allen to win this game than I would Davis Mills.
Yeah, by the way, good information by Cam coming back to talking about that Shavers move, because somebody does have to catch passes here, even though it's a very good defense here for the Houston Texans, because he said, no, well, look, the odds say over 200 passing yards at least here for the quarterback Josh Allen. Somebody's got to catch it. Maybe some unheralded guys at the wide receiver position that you're not expecting here. But now it's time to say, you know what, public, sometimes we like to do our jobs here. And last night we did our job with respect. A 2-0 on our buy best bets. Let's bring it on again tonight. Oh, we were beating up on the public last night with CLV. It was so much fun to watch. You got a lot of action tonight. College football. You got, obviously, NBA action. You got NHL action. The NFL's in business tonight, Joe. The world is your oyster, as I like to say. Where is it? Where are we going?
Well, I mean, Donnie, I'll go to this Thursday night game here with the Bills and the Texans, and I am going to look at the under here, 43.5. And it's very strange to me that we nearly doubled the spread with the Bills at the look-ahead line, -2.5, -3, and that was thinking C.J. Stroud was in. Now, all of a sudden, C.J. Stroud is out. So we move up to 6, but the total stays exactly the same at 43.5. Short week here. The defense of the Texans has been lights out. Top 3, top 5 team here. They're not going to be able to run the ball as well as they have the Buffalo Bills. They didn't run it great against Tampa at home, but I can't trust Davis Mills in this offense of the Texans, who barely scored, 16 points against the Tennessee Titans last week. So I'm sorry. I think this is going to be a rock fight. It's got 20-10 written all over it, 21-13, that type of situation, Donnie. I think we stay under the key number of 43 here in this one.
There you go. And under tonight, and I do agree with that. I do think it stays under. I don't think we're getting too many big plays that are going to go bounce. Hey, 69-yard touchdown pass. Don't think it's happening tonight. I think this game does stay under the title. For me, Joe, I'm going back to the NBA, where I was a victor last night with the Toronto Raptors. Tonight, I'm going with the Atlanta Hawks. By the way, they had a nice win streak snapped by Detroit on Tuesday. Now they find themselves playing in San Antonio. And, of course, Wembanyama will not play. But we look at the ticket count here. 60% of the tickets coming in on the San Antonio Spurs, Joe. And that line, 1.5 to 1s in the marketplace, has not moved all morning long for me. I think that's a pretty good sign. I'm going to take the Hawks, getting 1.5 points to go against the public tonight in a road victory outright. They probably get it done, but just in case it's 114, 113, we want that protection of the +1.5. I'm taking the Hawks tonight on the road.
Don't hate it. San Antonio dealing with a lot of injuries there. They're going to need these younger guys to step up. And Atlanta, they lost the last one barely, but I think they get this one back. I'm on the same page with you there.
Let's go 2-0. That's what we like to say here on a Thursday. Because, by the way, when you wake up tomorrow, it is another Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network, chock full of action. We'll go over in college football and professional football for this weekend. And also tell you exactly what happened and what went right and wrong last night between Buffalo and Houston. For Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri, thanks for tuning in to the SportsGrid Network. We'll see you bright and early for another edition of the Early Line tomorrow.